Hello everyone, I'm Jasmine. Welcome to my homeschool. It has been a hot minute since I recorded any video. I think my last homeschooling video was when my eldest daughter was still in kindergarten and she's in grade 2 now. So sorry. Um, yeah, life happened and then I got in a bit of a depression and I changed jobs and then now I'm a full-time homeschooling work from home mom. I have been learning how to do homemaking, cleaning the house myself, learning recipes to cook, but still thoroughly enjoying our homeschool journey. I thought I'd drop by and then just give an update because a lot has happened. Because obviously, Rue is now in grade 2, so that has been in the grade 1, grade 2, 2 years since my last homeschool drop. And then I've also been homeschooling my youngest son, Paco, and then our children are off to college, our older children. Anyway, for those who are new here, my name is Jasmine, and I wanted to share with you what we use. My intention for this video is to not have to edit a lot or to cut. So I want to be as brief as possible, if that is possible at all. But anyway, this video specifically is for me to share. I wanted to share with you how I do combined lessons for multiple children, if you can call multiple, 2 children multiple at all. And ayun, actually we've shifted a lot of our resources and changed a lot of the things that we use in our homeschool throughout just this school year alone. I guess it's because I'm learning that my children have very different learning styles. And I'm also trying my best not to compare my youngest son with my daughter, who is a voracious reader since she learned how to read in kinder. Paco, on the other hand, also started kindergarten younger than when Rue started hers. For example, when Rue was in kinder, by the time that it was July, she was already 5 years old, whereas Paco turned 5 years old within the school year of his kindergarten years. So he's a bit slower when it comes to reading. That's why I've had to change a lot of the feast that I present to him. We are still enrolled with Living Learning Homeschool. It's still a Charlotte Mason homeschool provider. I've been learning a lot of styles, combined lessons. I wanted to go through it according to how I present it to the children every day. So every morning, we really start our day. So for breakfast, what I would do is I would already play the national anthem. I would already play Panatang, which they would be reciting to or singing along to the folk song, to the hymn. Our hymn selections would usually come from our morning time. Currently, we are using the Brighter Day Press Morning Time, Volume 3. I'm not doing this in order because actually, at the start of the school year, we were doing, what were we doing? We were doing Volume 2. Yes, we were doing Volume 2. So I kind of shuffle it in whatever is necessary. So we're doing Term 3 of Volume 3 because it's Lent. And I really love how the Brighter Day Press organizes their morning time such that you read from the Bible, there's a prayer, and then there's a passage that you will help your children to recite throughout the term, a hymn, and then the catechism from the New City Catechism, and then they would recommend a feast of things to read like composer studies, artist studies, poetry, and then a selection of either missionary readings or just a beautiful literary book. So we're doing this earlier this year, which I also learned from Brighter Day Press. We were doing up to week 20 yata ako umabot of long story short. This is really beautiful. The only reason we stopped it is because parang my children got bored with it and then I had to kumbaga, shake things up a bit, especially since Easter and Christmas came along. Yeah. So the Gospel Story Bible was very easy, especially with the kindergarten into. And then this one was an accompaniment devotional. I really love the questions here that we pondered on. So there's day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then something to talk about with the kids. Actually, some of the questions here got a bit more difficult for me and my partner. But yeah, this is nice. So the only reason I stopped it is because I guess we're that kind of family. We really shake things up when we feel it's not working for us anymore, and not for the fault of the curriculum, only because my kids sometimes are more enthusiastic to do other things. But what has been consistent in our mornings for the whole year, so we have been tackling different habits, from the Simply Charlotte Masons Laying Down the Rails for Children, a habit training companion by Lanaya Gore. So this is nice because not only do we get to tackle good habits, we also get to practice it or play. There are play suggestions here. I get to read from reading selections that would usually be separate books like Aesop's Fables, or for example, what story would that be? This book, so some, for example. Also, I don't need to pull out those books because they're actually already in this selection. And then also Bible verses. So there. So it's a good mix of readings and habit training. This has a parent accompaniment. But to be honest, I only go through this and it's beautiful on its own. Um, for our morning time, we also already try to do our riches, or in the Philippines, I would consider it the MAPE, music, art, and PE. So sinasabay ko na yon. And also our nature study, because actually science or health is not yet required for grade 3 below. So my children fall under that. But my kids love doing science. So we go through the Treehouse Nature Studies seasonal guides. So I've bound them together. So this is the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So obviously in the Philippines, we don't have winter or spring. It's just summer and fall, or dry and the wet season. So but the lessons here are still very relatable. I like this because it's very simple. Actually, we just go through this for 10 minutes. So like this week, so we start with the spring equinox, just so that the kids kind of know the the seasons according to the rest of the world, especially since in elementary geography we're going through the hemispheres, and what side of the earth faces the sun, and that we're by the equator. Anyway, so for example, this week, we actually started week 3, so I don't go through this in succession. But starting this spring, we've tried to do that. I started on week 3 because that's the spring equinox, about March 20. So we sing a folk song. There's a hand rhyme. So, for example, they would do like, in a stone, firm under the soil, a wiggly worm pops up, and I say, "How are you? Hello." And then the wiggly worm, and then it just really excites the children. So that's what I love about this. And then there's a poem, there's a picture study, and a nature study book basket. So there would be like a wealth of books suggested here for us to read. So I just check off what we've read for the day. And then there are also activities. Actually, this guide comes with a menu. So or printouts that I put on a menu rather. But this is for their Easter. So something like that. So that's what I show my children, and then this guide is something that I hold on to. So because it's spring, it's seasonal, it changes. The past year, so for example, our school year would have started July or August last year, 2022. That was summer studies. So I did a bit of summer, um, bit of autumn, and even a bit of winter. But to be honest, the winter selection was pretty hard. So I'm looking forward to doing something similar just for dry and wet season for the Philippines. Yeah, kasi meron dito animals in winter, coniferous trees. But those things we were able to like um, give us an example or as a study, since we went to Baguio also early this year. So the winter guide was a bit relevant in that aspect. I really love it when it's Advent or Lent because our morning time is so rich. This is the second time that I've been going through these plans. So it's back to back only because I ran out of binding rings and the covers. I have been doing the Rich and Rooted Passover guide by Jennifer Naraki. I can't even remember where I found this, but it's really a beautiful way of celebrating Lent from the very beginning, as in from Ash Wednesday. May coffee stains pa. Gamit na gamit talaga. So, for example, it comes with like a calendar from Ash Wednesday. So, as you can see, I have scribbled the dates from last year, and then I'm doing it for this year. Um, it has symbols and recipes and celebrating and almsgiving. So this actually inspired my children to do an outreach for Easter, which hopefully we'll be able to do around May because it's been very busy for the family. And then there's copywork selections also in cursive and in print. So like I just go through the readings and the reflection from this one consistently, but also I mix in some things also from Treehouse Schoolhouse, the unexpected Easter, a sacred invitation to a season of anticipation and celebration. So very similar to their nature guide. So these go hand in hand. This is just 3 weeks leading up to Holy Week. So it's Holy Week next week as I'm recording this. And then there are Bible stories. There's an egg hunting symbol that goes here. What I really love about this would be the crafts. So there are craft suggestions. We've also gone through Brighter Day Press's Easter morning time, is it? And the crafts are also very beautiful. So for example, we made, what do you call that? A fruit pie for Easter. We made a rabbit sock and ganda, as in nakakatuwa. The hymns are also beautiful. The pictures about Jesus' life. And it really surprises me because sometimes I would hear my children singing about Jesus even if we're not very religious. And I really love being able to incorporate these studies. The morning, the Brighter Day, morning time, by the way, volume 3 covers this one. Who was Jesus? 40 pictures to share with your family. And the reason that I started this was specifically because it's Lent. Ayan. The Unexpected Easter has student sheets. So I would just put them in a binder and then pull them out sheet by sheet. So for example, tomorrow we'll be following this pattern and make palm leaves with construction paper. And we did a spring scavenger hunt, and then this is from Treehouse Nature Schoolhouse also. It's an Easter nature scavenger hunt naman. And then there are copy worksheets, so I never run out of things for my daughter to copy. Paco, on the other hand, doesn't copy a lot yet. Anyway, ayan. And another thing that we've consistently done, okay, not consistently, but we always go back to it, is the Idle Wild and Company organic studies. So what I would do is, for example, we do a nature study from Treehouse Nature Schoolhouse. And then, for example, last week was about, so that would be week 3, was about, for example, caterpillars, moths, and butterflies. The Idle Wild and Company organic studies is alphabetically arranged such that Unit A is amphibians, Unit B is birds, Unit C is caterpillars. So I tabbed mine so that I have Unit C. This guide has no pictures at all, but the scripts or the stories that are written out here are so beautiful and insightful. And then it's mapped out by day. So for example, lesson 1, I would do it on a Monday. This week we are on letter C, and I think it's perfect for younger children. So either we can do the phonics, my youngest can do the phonics part while I keep talking about the nature study component of it. Read the Butterfly House, page 3 to 4, the hatchery. I don't have all of the books here, but she has marked what might be available as read alouds on YouTube. So that's really what I do. Or I would pull out a similar book. For example, caterpillars, I would pull out the Philippine butterflies and caterpillars book so that it's a bit more relatable because we're here in the Philippines. And then there's letter work, create. There's historical read aloud and discussion points. And then lesson 2, 3, 4, 5. Ganyan. And I really think this is beautiful. So this is the second year that I'm going through this organic studies. And then the first year that I am incorporating her word studies. So this one goes hand in hand with the organic studies. These are like Bible lessons or scripture from the Bible that relate to the study of the organic study. So for example, we go through rocks in letter R. For example, R rocks. And then letter R here would be reptiles, apparently. Sorry, R for reptiles. So reptiles, and then she would have a lesson on putting the armor of God, mga ganyan, because they have scaly armored skin. Yeah, it's so reflective and so grounding that it all goes back to God. So I'm really happy because I really enjoy talking about spirituality and faith, and yeah, hindi halata, but I do. So I'm really happy that I'm able to present this to my children. Now on a more serious subject matter, because those are like fun stuff. So I've already tackled music and art. PE, we would for morning time, yeah, I would do the riches, right? So what I would do is after the dailies, those are like my dailies, because like the nature study is for every day, the Bible studies for every day. Dami na nun, yun pa lang. I have baskets that are on loop, basically, for that go right after morning time. So what I did was music for Monday, art for Tuesdays, and then PE on Wednesdays, and then I circle back. So ganyan. So for example, yeah, music Mondays would usually be from my blossom and root plan. Sorry, I'm walking around because we were done with it, so I kept it already. The blossom and root, history and art of me, the art and history of me level 0. That was really beautiful. It was so beautiful that we finished it, even if it was meant for an entire school year. We met not the classical composers or artists, but I hope I can remember where I put it. But the artists like Faith Ringgold, mga ganyan. So diverse. It's such a diverse collection of artists and composers. And then they get to like do an art piece that would relate to who they are, like my family, my community, me. And they had a notebook for it. Aha! I think I can put it up. Find the notebook. Give me a minute. Because we were done with it. That's why I kept it already. Sorry about that. But that was really fun. Anyway, and then so that's music. What else do we do for music? That's it. Art. I've subscribed to. I actually have a hard time teaching art. I'm not very crafty. Would you believe that? Or I'm tamad to watercolor because it's so makalat. But I subscribed. It's quite pricey, but I subscribe because it's an eternal subscription. So I can use it forever. I subscribe to Waldorfish, and so far we're on lesson 10, and that has consistently allowed us to do art every Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we do something from this one. we do the schoolyard and co's fundamental movements. As you can see, I love tabs. So this is like an introduction to, for me, for just to make them move. But actually, the organic studies already has play in it. The habits, of course, I make them do chores also in the morning. Like they're the poop patrol. So they help me find our dog's poop in the garden, and they also do feeding frenzy. That's when they help me feed the cats and the dogs and dog rather. And we also have laundry time. So they're the ones who puts in the laundry, and they're the ones who sets the table also for every meal time. So damn it. And then they do a lot of outdoor play. Like the only reason that I'm able to record this in peace and quiet is because my kids are outside again there. So I love that they're able to play in the morning, and then in the afternoon they're also out for about 3 hours. Ganyan. 3 hours in the afternoon, and then maybe 2 hours in the morning if they wake up early enough. Anyway, the schoolyard fundamental movements one just goes through basic movements like hop, gallop, skip, jump, dance, and then we go through all of them. So we're already on um, what do you call that? Bounce something. So ball handling na siya. And then we have these paper dolls. We had these paper dolls, but they're so worn out already. I think I just threw them also. But there. So this is a nice resource. You think it's very simple to teach those things? It is actually. So we have chalk outside because we do. Tinitingnan ko, hindi ko pinapakita. So there's importance of physical movement for health. Of course, we also tackle food, big movements, small movements. There are games here, and skipping rope and hula hooping. I'm not sure if we learned hula hoop here. Underhand throw. And so this is actually very simple because nga, I have a newly minted 5-year-old child, and hopefully we can move on to a different physical activity next year. We play. It's downstairs, but smart kids. So there's this local shop who sells like a collection of Filipino games. So we would also pull that out when we do the schoolyard co-fundamental movements. I think I will link that below. It has sungka, it has Chinese garter, it has sipa. So I incorporate Filipino games in this movement. Ayan. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we do history. Now, my history has evolved. At the start of the year, I wanted to do the Kind Kingdom from Peaceful Press. Where is that? I also on middle set on doing school year, like the kings and queens and knights. But it hasn't stuck, as in my kids weren't having fun. But because I was able to go through these resources, I also went through Pam Barnhill's Middle Ages morning time, and I think that's the one that stuck the most, mainly because I have the collection of the circumference. So parang nagma-math na rin kami when we do history and tackle Middle Ages, because these are about math. Circumference is like concept storybook, and then I got something from, I think, a bundle from teacherspayteachers.com of worksheets that will go hand in hand with each of these stories. Well, my children particularly liked Joan of Arc, and then they think I actually look like Joan of Arc when I cut my hair. They also liked King Alfred. That's because I got to read books based on those curriculums. Like, okay, I'm gonna read about King Arthur, Robin Hood. Yeah, they like these books. So we read this. We also read The Kitchen Knight. So ayan, dami ko tuloy. Saint George and the Dragon. Ayan. So these are the books that I wouldn't have known to read to my children if it wasn't because I went through all of those curriculums that tackle Middle Ages. I even got this one, Gatheround Homeschool's Middle Ages Unit Study. This was nice because they had levels of readings. So this is for the early readers, and then this is for elementary, and then it came with notebooks for each child, like this. So ako lang nagbabind nito. These are PDF downloads. So they would have paper dolls or like vocabulary or math, and yeah. So because it's a unit study, it kind of covers everything. If I go through just this, pwede na. But again, the topic of just Middle Ages, parang na-bore yung kids ko na we were doing history from ancient last year when we was in grade 1 and then grade 2. Obviously, my younger one, he doesn't listen a lot. But I anchor my decision on what we would do for history on Ru, on her level of interest. And as much as I didn't want to at first, only because I have read reviews that said it was whitewashed, ganyan. She really enjoys the Good and the Beautiful's history series. So they stopped this, but I think it's still available for download on their site. And then I even tried to study going through their lessons chronologically. Um, but in the end, apparently my daughter likes me going through the history timeline in like skips, like not chronologically. So she really loves this. She loves the because it has like a script of two children and their aunt and uncle um, telling stories, or sometimes there's a big book of history that comes with this. So actually, I really don't need a lot of history books anymore because it's all in this. But when I asked my children, they still wanted to hold on to these books. So these are our encyclopedia of history. You had world religions here, when on earth. So sometimes we would like map out when that event is from this book instead of a timeline. I know I should be making a timeline. In fact, in fact, I have a timeline from the Kind Kingdom here on our walls. So sometimes we do these timeline cards if we find that person in history there. So that's our timeline. And then we also map out where in the world that happened. So that's, I hope you didn't see my dirty laundry, but there, I've actually added in also personalities from Philippine history. So nandun na yung Philippine presidents in our timeline, although we haven't tackled them yet. So anyway, the Good and the Beautiful history is something that I think we will be sticking with for a while. So this is year 1, and then I actually have year 3 here because they kind of um, go together. I will be skipping the units that are specifically related to US history. Bakit nga ba? Kasi gusto ko Philippine history. And what we do for Philippine history um, would be, I've started out with citizenship. We were done with, I love using these old books. So I get old books from Libraria PH or Vintage Toast PH. Where is that book? Oh my gosh. Anyway, we were done with Good Citizenship. It's a red old book. And is it here? Kasi nga we were done eh. And Philippine Stories, Philippine History and Philippine Stories by Benitez. So, where is that? Is it here? Is it here? City Chronicles pa kami ng mga bata. But no, the script type of storytelling didn't so root. But it would have been nice, as in I printed, but the test quizzes or the worksheets Yeah, I like that pa naman. Because Rue likes the coloring pages in the student notebook of the good and the beautiful. Anyway, again, going back to Philippine history, I can't find the Benitez book. Can I not? I can't. Yeah, I cannot find it anymore. But this one is what we've been doing consistently. Your Country and Mine by T. Garcia and Maceda. I want to base kasaysayan ko on this one. And look, there are more solo artworks. Old books. So there. So for example, from the start of this school year, knowing our country, the early Filipinos, and then the Filipino dream when the Americans came, and the national government, different provinces. So there are regional studies here, and then people of other countries and great Filipinos. So nandito na kami. Yay! We are here in Western Luzon. We are studying the Negritos of the mountains. Ayan. And then sometimes, so and then, andito na yung Philippine map. So, I love. Ay, sorry, Mike. I love this book. So that's what we do. And then on Fridays, I pull out elementary geography. Just one chapter every week. Kasi medyo mahirap because these books, even if they're by Charlotte Mason, they kind of say our country or in where we live. Obviously, she lived in London and we do not. On Fridays, I also read Jose Rizal, the student, to them. Ayan, patapos na kami dito. And actually, I've been reading this since last year. And si Burgos, isang batang Filipino. This is in Tagalog. And it's very simple. There are like vocabulary words in Tagalog or phrases. So what I do is I would read it in Filipino and then I would translate it and I'll have them say it again. And then I would read the selection and then translate every 2 or 3 sentences. Mga unang Filipino, ganyan. May hari ang mga unang Pilipino. So it's very simple. But I guess because they're children, because these are great Filipinos, and these are stories about them when they were children, it's very relatable for them. Ayan. So part of social studies would be our mother tongue also. So we also do bugtong-bugtong once a week. As in my kids go, yay! When I pull out this book. So we're about done with this. So we only do bugtong-bugtong once a week. As in, isang bugtong lang. Because what I would do is read the bugtong and then translate it. And then they would try to figure it out in front of the mirror. And then I would go through it phonetically. Like per, ano tawag doon? Syllable. Per syllable. And then they would write the word. So, ang tagal na nun, di ba? Yun pa lang. So yeah, this was nice. Depending on the readings here, for example, Your Country and Mine, I would play a video about that region or about that food. I would pull out a book that would be related to the reading. So for example, when we went through the Northern Luzon, we read this book, The Pangat, the Mountaineer, and the River. Or about, I have here the Weaving series book. And then, or I would match it with the many books of tahanan books that would, kumbaga, relate to that lesson. So, for example, early Filipinos, or kung yung sa Spanish, di ba, si Segunda, at noong panahon ng mga Espanyol, ganyan. When the Japanese came, actually wala pa kami doon, but I've already paired up those titles based on the sequence or the order that it appears from this book. Ayan. So that's what we do for social studies. For science, which is not required, the nature studies incorporated in the morning time. But I've also subscribed to, because they wanted to study astronomy at the start of the year. Ang dami na. So I subscribed to Journey Homeschool because there's this guy, Teacher Lucas, what they call him, who would talk about planets. And then sometimes we would go through these books. So I have the Apologia book, and then I also have ano pa ba? What we see in the stars. So we would like go through this, and then I have this book space from A to Z. So either I will pair it with the letter that Paco would be writing for that week with that, or for example, it's a planet, Jupiter, letter J, ganyan. Okay, so again, on loop would be these. Actually, first Thursdays is when I do science. We did the human body at the start of the school year and some parts of the safety unit, the good and the beautiful. Actually, review na nga lang yung safety because we also did that last year. Ayan, ano pa ba? Sorry, di ko na mabalik. Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Kids love this, but I do it optionally. I also pull out some resources or ideas from the Torchlight curriculum. So it's like a Socratic method of teaching. Their pre-K curriculum focuses on socio-emotional learning. So I have this set of cards, I Heard Your Feelings, where they pick out a card and then there's a situation that they will try to dissect how each of the character feels and respond, and then a whole bunch of feelings, and then we would sing Lisa Loeb's feel, what you feel, ganyan. I have been merging the pre-K with the worldly wisdom. Wala lang. Pinapahirapan ko lang yung sarili ko. Ang dami, di ba? Because they really enjoy it when we go through the country. So what I did was I incorporated the worldly wisdom of Torchlight. Every time we encounter a new country mentioned, neighboring country mentioned in your country and mine. Sometimes I also pull out ideas from A Beautiful Feats Around the World with picture books. So I have been going through this for about, from since last year, because I couldn't decide if we were going through social studies on a geographical point of view, like my country and then other countries, or history, ancient to now. So now I know I have to do both. Only because my children want to. Ayan. So iba pa yung lessons ni Ru as a second grader. So, and then ni Paco as a kindergartner that mostly focuses on their language arts and math. I will talk about that in 2 separate videos. But for now, so these are the lessons we do together. And I know it looks a lot, but we actually only do our combined lessons for about an hour and a half. And then I have an hour for focused work for each child. 30 minutes with Ru, 30 minutes with Paco. Actually, it's more like 40 minutes with Paco and then 20 minutes with Ru. And then sometimes on weekends, I would pull out, but I divided it by throughout the week also. I would pull out a unit study from Harbor and Sprout. For example, we're doing a construction unit now. And in the construction unit, because it's also broken down into subjects, so there's a nature study component to it. So, for example, construction in nature, like the beavers, beaver dito, ants, ganyan. Construction in unit, so how you construct music. And then there's also language arts and writing and math. So, Paco would sometimes just do math exercises from this. Ayan. So, I know it sounds like it's a lot. On this book po. So, these are one of the books that we did with Blossom and Roots, History and Art of Me. I know it sounds a lot, but yeah, it's very manageable. Our combined homeschool is just an hour and a half every day. And then honestly, when we don't get to do all of it, it's fine. And I just let go of it. It's not very sequential. Everything is just on loop. And how I manage doing that is I came up with a system called my Eternal Homeschool Lesson Planner, where I put all of the lessons for each subject and schedule there. And I would like to share that with you. So I hope you take a look at it and see if it can help you lessen your overwhelm and just bask in this feast, because as you can see, I am thoroughly enjoying it, and I still get to do some work in the afternoon after we homeschool, and I hope you get to have easier days as you homeschool, and I will be back with more videos because this is too long already. I hope you were able to be inspired and pick up some ideas on what you might be able to use for your children, because I'm pretty sure Your kids are different from mine, but if you're overwhelmed with planning, you know what? I would be so happy to plan your homeschool for you. Drop me a message. Happy homeschooling. Bye.